Welcome to Astrotheology Radio, your home for syncretism.
Welcome to Syncretism with Santos Bonacci. Welcome, Santos.
Oh, thank you. Welcome, one and all, to Astrotheology Radio, and it's a pleasure to be with you. How are you, Ruth? Oh, good. So who am I speaking with then on the other side? Because I can't see the room there.
Hello, friends. Santos is here with me. I don't know if the friends can hear him. If you can, please say hello to Santos. Hello, Santos. Santos?
Yep.
Hi there.
How you going?
I don't know if the friends can hear you. If you can, please. Okay, I can hear Santos. Hello. Santos, welcome to Astrology Radio. As I was saying, it has been quite a while since you were here with us, more than 2 months ago, I believe. So truly a warm welcome to you. It's so lovely to have you back and hear all about it, how you are, and any news you may have for us.
Yeah. Thank you, Ruth, and thanks to one and all for joining. I'm doing really well. I'm perhaps you could say improving my health from day to day, and actually putting on weight, which is good. I'm enjoying that.
Excellent.
Yeah, since January, I of course, you know, I did the Andreas Moritz fast and eliminated tapeworms and and stones and all sorts of things, and since then my health's been picking up really, and I've put on quite a few kilos, so I'm really happy, and I'm sticking with the raw food. I'm mostly raw food, just a little bit of we follow Victoria Batenko's raw food plan, and she adds a little bit of say steamed potatoes and stuff like that. But raw food is definitely the life food source. I can talk a little bit about that and how that's helped me. But another interesting thing, Ruth, that I'd like to share with folks is watched a very inspirational video the other day, and it's called May I Be Frank. I wonder whether you've seen it.
May I be frank? No, I haven't. I haven't seen that film. Please tell us about it. Because I believe this is the time to be frank about everything. Yeah, look, it's very inspirational. It shows how there was a guy called, obviously about Frank, and he's at a stage in his life where he's very overweight, and he's got hepatitis C and stuff, so he's on all these medications, and he's really in a bad way, and he's got no energy, and he's suicidal. And so these three young guys met him one day, and they decided that they would help him. They were raw foodists. And so they put him on a plan, a 42-day plan. And after giving him green smoothies and all sorts of basically good vegetarian food, he lost a lot of weight. And they filmed everything, and they put it into a very nice format and made a little film, and it's really getting a lot of momentum, this film, and it's being promoted a lot. It's changing the lives of many, many people. It's very inspirational. In the end, Frank now he's touring and showing how he has transformed his life now. He's 54 and he's very nice and thin and doesn't have hepatitis C, and attributes it, of course, to this plan that these three young guys put him on. Well done. It's a very inspirational film. The reason I'm wanted to talk about that is because I have been saying a lot on these shows in particular too, that we need to start with the body in this alchemical process of returning, sublimating the grosser in us to the finer. And we do this first by looking at what we're eating, because you are what you eat, really. And the philosopher, alchemist slash mystic knew this, and really they didn't really share that in a way. The philosophers were all vegetarian, all the philosophers, but they didn't necessarily push their views. They knew that all would eventually understand that this elimination of slaughter of sentient beings in the diet would change the alchemical and the chemical nature of the body, the pH really, and so the body, which is the vessel of the chrism, the Christ within, is pure now. See, so you've eliminated the coarser, the lead, really, when you do this, and it's a big step, but it's a step that each individual must learn to take on their own. So, because it is known that we don't really eat the form or live off the form. We live off the etheric vital force of that whatever it is we eat. So crunching carcasses, as the vegetarians would call it, is really beneficial for beings who are not awake, because it does vitalize their own etheric bodies and repairs damage to it. So there is a benefit there. You see, there is, and that's undeniable. But the cost is, well, it's basically you turn off the lights. It's unconsciousness. That's the cost. And what ultimately is the secret that you really can't share when you know this, but from my point of view, I do have to share it because it's a responsibility, that if you're still eating meat and, you get hit by a bus tomorrow, your soul's going to have to come back for some more tasting of blood. And so while the benefits are very temporary in that they repair the depleted, etheric body of the individual, the lifelong, long-term effects are detrimental. But this is the thing. With Frank in that video, he still eats chicken and fish, which is, well, to me it's disappointing. But nonetheless, it's still a very, very inspirational video, because Frank is really a very zealous and beautiful man who's on the verge of discovering the next step. And the next step is he will walk into, whether consciously or unconsciously, into the vegetarian stage, and then the true philosopher in him will be born.
Mm.
So
I'm very glad
yeah.
you brought this subject, Santos, because, well, who better than you to know that this is so important information for now, for these times, so important. Because I do have a husband who do eat meat, as you know. I have confessed that to you. I had tried to convert him, but as you so rightly said, we cannot do much. All we can do is to share, and it is up to the individual to take or leave the information. It is when they are ready, as my husband has said. It is when he is ready, and he has the willingness to do it, to stop eating meat. But it's when the consciousness is there.
Yep, I guess so. It's something that is born within, and one just needs to send good energy to these folk, and hopefully they will see that, and the light will turn on. So I guess I like to address that, Ruth. I like to address the place where we should begin. Let's look at that area. That area really needs to be looked at. And I want to also talk about astrology today, if I could.
Of course, absolutely. Wonderful.
So, because I'm really also seeing at the other polarity, which is the very, very high mystical and spiritual side of our nature, is also necessary. So we need that physical, the body, and to start there. So we don't want to neglect that. I see a tendency in that, and there is a tendency in that spiritual types, when they begin to awaken, start to neglect the other things, you know. You can't neglect them, but you have to remove that from in you. The lower things. You remove the materiality from you. You don't. That's how you conquer the world. So, in this part, we are still having to, since we are in body, we still have to look after the body, because the quality of the food and its vital force will determine, the quality of the enzymes and the life force that the other organs get. Because all the organs want is the highest of nutrition. And what we call vitamins, so-called vitamins. It's basically the etheric energy of the plant. That's what the vitamin is. And minerals. Minerals are chief in vitalizing the body. So what's happening is the depleted food that most people put into their temples is not satisfying the organs, and they're not really functioning properly. So your temple might be acidic, might be too alkaline, and it's not balanced. And this is harmful to the chrism. It's the chrism that needs to be raised. The Christ fluid in the cerebrospinal system. And it's being produced daily, of course, by the Lamb of God, Aries, in the claustrum. And the claustrum is secreting the Santa claustrum at the north of your head, North Pole. And he goes down the chimney with his claustrum, brings all these little gifts down to the sacrum, the bottom of the Christmas tree. And all these little gifts have to go back up to the star at the top of the Christmas tree, Isis. And Isis is the blue throat chakra. So you've got to go from that sacrum, which is an orange chakra, and you've got to bring it back through that blue chakra. And how that happens is every month when the moon transits your sun sign, in my case Aries, which will be in a couple of days, or tomorrow, I forget. But anyway, when the moon's in your sun sign, she generates a psychophysical germ in your solar plexus. And that germ is the chrism, basically, it's the seed. It's the seed that is born in the womb of both man and woman. And so man has a womb, and it's in the solar plexus, and we raise Christic fluids up the spine monthly. Every month we get a new Christ born in us, a new seed of Christ. And it goes through the heart chakra, and it's baptized there. That's where John the Baptizer baptizes you in water, and you go into the heart chakra, and of course you get baptized again in fire. Remember, John the Baptist says, "Hang on, I only baptize in water. The one coming is baptizing in spirit and fire." Well, that means spirituality and mysticism, philosophy and theology. And that happens in Aries, in the crown chakra, because that's the region of Aries, the Lamb of God, decked in purple. Purple chakra, violet. And so we've got to get to the purple. And that's by raising that chrism. That's why Jesus, when he speaks to Gamaliel and says, "What, do you not know? You are a teacher in Israel, and you do not know that in order to be baptized, you must, you must be, to be born again." And he said, as Moses raised up the serpent in the wilderness, so the Son of Man must be raised up. Well, the Son of Man, that's the son of manna, because that was a cryptic term for the manna that descends from the claustrum, the chrism. See, the children of Israel that eat the manna, they're eating the chrism. In other words, they're tithing that chrism and they're returning it back to the heaven. And that's what the tithing means, to save that chrism, save some of that energy, save that sexual energy. Don't always dispense with it. Don't discharge it. It's a charging up of your vital force. So these young ones, they would do better saving some of it and channeling that energy. It's so creative and so powerful. All these great philosophers and all these great ones, they have always channeled this energy. And that's where their path, their alchemical return has happened, through channeling that beautiful energy. And and all the powers that we have, the mental powers, the emotional powers, when we channel them and grow them, then we go from the heart chakra to the crown chakra, and heart and mind, and now Leo, the lion, and Aries, the lamb, now are lying together. And that's what the scriptures mean when it says that the lamb and the lion must lie together before paradise can be a reality. And so basically, for folks like us listening to this, will be of that mind, I guess, to some extent, where we realise that we are alchemically beginning our journey with the body and what we eat, because you really, really, really are what you eat. And the elite know this. The elite behind the carnism religion, where they stuff pork and beef and mutton to create gluttons that eat gluttons. You see, this is why the scripture says gluttons will not inherit the kingdom. It's talking about meat eaters, period. Because that's what a glutton is. It's in reference to meat eating, really. And the elite know this, and this is why they give mutton to gluttons to make them sheeple, and beef to chattel to make them chattel, goat meat for sacrificial goats. Off you go to war, little Christian soldiers. We will make the uniforms as we've done before. And fish, the Egyptians never ate fish. It was unholy for a land animal above breathing air, hence of the mental nature of air, man, to eat anything that come from waters or fish. And so they know that when we eat fish and we think, oh, I'm so sexy, I'm just a vegetarian, but I eat a little bit of fish. Well, it's not very sexy at all. It's probably the worst of all the meats, you know. I've heard that it takes a lot more to digest and it just putrefies, really. So they do that because they consider Christians, or at least the church-going Christians, as the fish, unconscious, cannon fodder. Off you go. Come on, Christian soldiers, you're fighting for this flag now. Go and shed your soul to our satanic demon. Basically, that's all it is. Catholicism and the Vatican, it's a demon. And and they give you rabbit so that you can be a rabbit and run like a rabbit, and eat chicken so you can have a chicken-livered heart, and all of these animals, you know, and they know this. They want people to eat pork, you know, have bacon and eggs. It's so sexy, you know, in the city streets to see these cafes doing bacon and eggs for $6.50. Oh, come and grab it. And the Jewish elite and, you know, all the elite and even the Islamists, they just think this is barbaric, you know. It's absolute, makes people swine, really. There's no other, in particular pork. To eat pork is really evidence of unconscious, totally unconscious, you know, being. So, and this is why all the myths tell us this, you see. They want us to poo-poo the myths, but when you look at Circe turning Ulysses' men into swine, how? Well, because they were eating it, you know. And so this is why Ulysses saved himself, because he tied himself to the mast. And that's the spinal column that reaches to heaven, 33 degrees. And then you get crucified at 33. And so the point is to tie yourself to that mast and stay strong and resist the temptations. And what Porphyry and Plutarch, the greatest vegetarians of all, Porphyry in particular, called tyranny of the senses. This desire to eat the flesh of other sentient beings. Tyranny of the senses. The senses are just tyrannized by this lust. When animals are screaming, not at pain, but at the stupidity of humans, when they realize that even if they were to eat them, they would not get any eternal benefits. They would only get temporary benefits of eating their flesh. So Porphyry says that they are screaming, I do not begrudge you your eating, but I do begrudge you your better eating. See, because in the restaurants of Pompeii and Rome, you know, and all of these lustful places where gluttony existed, flesh of all kinds of beasts was the temptation. And people would go there to sleep with prostitutes and eat meat of all kinds and vomit in the vomitariums in the back of the backs of the restaurants there. So lust was, was this intoxicating tyranny of the senses delight. And basically, once you repent, I don't know how to put it, but repent from this condition, then food is different. You know, you really start to appreciate food, what it really is. When you eat, then you start to meditate when you're eating. You know, you're eating raw green chlorophyll plants, for instance, green leafies or something like that in your smoothies, and you chew it and mix your saliva with it and meditate, and now you have totally a different respect for food. You know, and of course, this is what people call rabbit food. Oh, it's rabbit food, is it? Well, rabbit food is the same food that horses eat, and horses have got something which is called horsepower. And all they do is eat these little blades of green grass all day long, and they can run for 30, 60 miles, depending on how fit they are, a day.
What about gorillas?
Just on green things. And gorillas. And elephants. You know, I mean, why do they don't eat carcasses? So obviously this state of eating carcasses it's a departure from true nature. It's not at all balanced. This is not how it should be. Very soon on this planet we will see animals stop eating each other. You will see it with your very eyes. A whole different reality will appear. And this feeding on carcasses is the wrong way to feed. It's not how energy is supposed to be transferred. It's supposed to be done without death. And so this is what you begin to learn as you change your food. Now, so my encouragement is wherever you are, on whatever level you are, folks, without any judgment. I'm not going to judge myself because I'm not perfect. But I know one thing that I can share with you in truth and reality is that as I changed my diet, so did my consciousness. In 2008, I believe, or 2009, I became a vegetarian. I think it was 2008. And syncretism fell into place shortly thereafter. It was not going to come to me before that, while I was eating chickens and bunny rabbits and pig's bums and all sorts of weird and wonderful, lustful, harmful things. So, and I know that now I can show with my own health and my own state of being that changing the diet has caused me immeasurable, beautiful and wonderful blessings of all kinds. So that's my encouragement. On the alchemical side, and from where to start, that must be attended to. I think going for the sky first, without balancing all the chakras, even the ones that are down there in red hell, we balance them by being in the heart, in the center. The green is the color of the earth, and it's the center it's the geocentric center of everything. Everything. Mother Earth is absolutely the geocentric center of everything. But we have to escape that geocentricity, and we have to now go from the consciousness of the Earth, or rather from the consciousness of planets, period, to the consciousness of suns. And so we have to be solar heroes like Hercules. There's no other way. And in the Greek system, you become a solar hero. In the Jewish system, you become a Jew, because that's what the Jew is. The Jew is the level just under Hebrew, and which is just under Telestoi. And these levels are known in occult science, in Freemasonry, and in every science and philosophy. The nature of the levels, the 7 conditions. And but the sun is the chief archetype, just as Saturn is. Saturn is also the chief archetype of all. They are the two twins that are the chief archetypes. But as we must reach the realm of Saturn, which is the crown chakra, it's the sun in the heart chakra, which is the solar hero, and we must be centered in that green garden. Even though we must balance the red down below in hell, Sodom. See, the bottom chakras is appropriately named Sodom. Dom is an atomic word, because that's the kingdom of Satan. Red. He's normally coloured red because Satan, the devil, is vested in the blood, the human blood, the Red Sea, which we are journeying through to get to the promised land. And so where does... That's called Sodom, the bottom chakra, and the orange one above is called Gomorrah in occult science. And see, that's that red chakra down there. This is where sodomy occurs, you see. And sodomy is nothing but the practice of the lower things, the lower vices, because that colour red is the lower vibrating polarity which materializes always with blood. Because man, Adam, means blood, red blood. Edom, Adam, garden, Sodom, warden of the dungeon, dun, D-U-N, is an atomic word. Because, Daniel in the lion's den. Because the tomb is the atom. So everything atomic is entombed. And usually the colour red, well, that's what Tommy means. It means red. Adam means red. And red is the colour of nature. And its opposite pole is blue. And so these colours are everywhere in the universe. But it's at the bottom of your torso, and red is at the bottom and blue is at the top, at the throat chakra. And so when we bring up out of hell through the heart chakra, Leo, the lion of the tribe of Judah, the Saviour, the son of David, the Messiah. David, of course, is Saturn, and everything is the son of Saturn because Saturn is old man time. Hence, we all are born in time, and we must disappear out of time through Saturn's rings. Saturn controls it all. It's the world of Satan. Totally, 100%. And Satan is Christ. And Christ is the one who is the ruler of the seven, the Lord of the rings. Christ, Satan. And the sun is the chief archetype of consciousness. We must move into solar consciousness. This is why astrology is the science that enables us to do this. Astrology is the word of God. Astrologos means the words or the science or love of astro. And astro is basically the light world of stars. And we know that God is light. And so this is God, this light, there is true light and there is false light. There is lux and there is lumen. There is divine light and there is worldly light. And so astrology tells of both. So astrologos, the word of God, is basically the other secret that we need to know that you can't tell people. As you can't tell people that you will not ascend if you're still eating meat, because either they'll punch you in the face or it's like throwing pearls to swine, really, unfortunately. But the other one is that astrology is the science that must be known to ascend. So it's not a matter of choice. It's a matter of, if you want salvation, you must know the science of astrology. Back in Egypt, all of their initiations that followed the 108 degrees of the ecliptic, or 78 degrees corresponding to the tarot cards, degrees of the ecliptic, they had varying degrees of initiations. Always, they had to show their knowledge of astrology to the high initiates and the high teachers and initiators, and they had to show that they had knowledge of how to progress charts and how to read charts. And the charts that they were reading were actually to be the charts of the 24, I think it was 24 or 12, what do you call them now? Initiators in the initiatory rites. And so it was usually the chart of one of them that was to be interpreted. And if they didn't pass and showed their skill in the science of astrology, they didn't pass. And so those are your two secrets for today.
It makes sense. It makes sense that the science of astrology is of the most importance because it is everywhere. So it makes a lot of sense.
It is everywhere. And you can never ever learn enough of astrology. If you read something on astrology every day, and there's a lot of reliable stuff out there, I've checked it, there's not much that's shonky, you will contribute to your own salvation. Because then you will understand how astrology works through all things. You'll understand the archetypes permeating nature. You will understand the principles of nature and the receptacles of nature. Our bodies are receptacles of all the principles of the universe, all of them. We have love in us, the potential for great love. We have wisdom. We have all these principles. We are endowed with all the greatest and the most refined and beautiful and wonderful of all the principles. They are all in man. And they are all seated in the heart. And actually in 4 parts of the body. The heart, the mind, the liver, and the solar plexus, where there are 4 seed atoms. And that's where all the principles are of the universe. So all we have to do is nurture them and cultivate them. And to nurture things, you have to put food in the body that is correct food for the nurturing process of these atoms. They're dancing around, but they need good energy. They don't want toxins. They don't want polluted food. And one thing that I just learned recently is the difference between cooked food and raw food is that the body with raw food can produce better quality enzymes.
There you are.
And enzymes is basically another words for energy, exactly. Vibration.
Exactly. It makes sense, absolutely, because it's life, it's alive, it's not dead. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to cook, because the nutrients, everything that is there, it just not going to be there anymore. So it's eating dead. It makes perfect sense. But again, when we don't know, when we're asleep, still unconscious, we cannot see any other things. It just is taken very much for granted.
Yeah, look, it's very, very difficult it's an addiction, cooked food. It's very addictive. Simply because the tastes are amplified in cooked food, aren't they? You know, it's more sort of dimensioned. And so, but still it's tyranny of the senses. Eventually, when we are much, much higher vibrating, which will be sooner rather than later, I believe, we will start to appreciate food, food that's raw and pure, and probably just eventually gravitate to just herbs, probably in the end. I don't know, but I know the minerals in herbs are of the best raw herbs. So we'll probably be doing what we do in ages like Bronze and Silver Age, where we're just using the teeth to chew on herbs to get minerals of them due to deficiencies, because really in the pranic substance called air that we breathe are all the minerals that belong in any other liquid or solid substance known to man. So, but more condensed and more fine, of course, and would be harder to extract. But once upon a time, we were surviving just on this prana, life force, you know, electrical, atomic energy that is of the highest sublime kind, and that we can just breathe, you know, breatharian. So I believe that certain ones have made it, like, you know, guys like Genesis Sunfire and Hira Ratan Manik, who are pretty much the most, two of the ones that I know that are well-known breatharians. I know there are others that aren't so public, but I know Genesis once said that the way to doing this is through liquid, to make, you know, your food liquid, all your food. And so that looks like the path I might be going. So the raw food that I've been ingesting has enabled me to put on, I'm back to pretty close to my normal weight.
Wonderful. Very good to hear, Santos.
Yeah. And the folks around me that are overweight are actually shedding kilos by the day. So for underweight people, it adjusts. The body just adjusts, and I guess brings you back to your true weight that the body knows. I guess for your age, the body adjusts for that.
And the feeling is amazing, especially with you juicing. I do a lot of juicing here because I do grow a lot of vegetables, especially greens, a lot of kales, a lot of cabbages. There are many here in Portugal. The Portuguese use a lot of cabbages. And beetroot, which I was reading yesterday, how good it is for your heart. Fantastic. You just feel refreshed, vitalized. Yes.
Beetroot? Oh, really? What can you tell us?
About beetroots. There is a very good article published by Natural News. I know that a lot of people don't give a lot of credit to Natural News, and I understand why. But from time to time, they really post some things quite interesting, and not everything is bad, not everything is good. There's a lot of good stuff out there. And, beetroot not only is a very powerful anti-cancer, like all raw food, to be honest, they all have a strong anti-cancer properties, of course, because we're talking about live food here. But especially the heart, for the heart, is a good blood cleanser as well. Something that I have known for a long time. That is an old wisdom that beetroot is good for the blood, and possibly has something to do because of the color. You know that beetroot is very similar to our own blood in terms of color. There was a lot of information there. I can't ever remember all the details, but I do consume in juice. I do juice a lot of beetroots, raw beetroots, together with other greens like kales, cabbages, carrots, and lemon. I do love lemon and ginger. This is the final touch, and you just feel alive, revitalized when you do juicing. And I do then now in summer because I have grown a lot. I do it every day. And the skin, it transforms your skin because you are getting out all those toxins, all the rubbish that is inside you.
Yeah, look, these foods, as you start experimenting, you'll probably go to a stage where you'll find that if you just eat simpler is better. The stomach digests better too when you just sort of keep things simple, because then the liver has to separate foods. If you're mixing, for instance, fruit with vegetables, not very good. You can mix fruit with green leafies, but not with vegetables. Has too many side effects. So, yeah, Victoria. I think Victoria Botenko's stuff is pretty good to follow. I really do. She points this out. It's fruit and vegetables. Apart from the fact that the liver has more separating work to do, generates a lot of gas and other unpleasant side effects. But whereas if you have kale with banana and apple, that's a good mix. Or silver beet with banana and apple. Banana is always the best thing to throw in, according to her. And perhaps a pear or an apple, but just keep it simple in the morning. So that's her way. I'm doing that. I've been doing that for a long time. Not always. Sometimes I just have coconut yogurt breakfast with fruit, or activated seeds. Activate your nuts, your seeds.
And how do you do that, Santos?
And of course, fruit.
How do you activate your seeds? Is it sprouted?
Yeah, just soak them in water overnight. But I buy my cereal already pre-sprouted. It's from an organic supermarket not far from where I live. So where I live, there's organic everything. There's raw food restaurants. It's pretty much it's beautiful. You know, there's lots of appreciation and consciousness for organic things, and it's beautiful to see. Actually, all of Australia is opening their eyes towards the value of organic things now, and a lot of supermarkets are carrying them. So that's really, really good. And yeah.
Someone asking your thoughts about soy, Santos. I know there's no time for questions, but it's interesting. I'm also curious about your thoughts on soy.
I'm not sure, really. I hear so much negative about it. But then again, it must have some virtue. Yeah, for sure.
If organic.
It does, the organic soy. I think it's something to do with not being able to digest it. Is that right?
The controversial about soy or soya is huge. You will hear two parties. I mean, it's a group that absolutely says, no, don't even touch it, don't even come close to it. And there are another group, as we know, that say it has benefits, organic is soy. So I don't touch it, to be honest. I haven't been eating any soy product for many, many years because I do have a underthyroid, and I just don't want to risk it. It's...
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't touch it. You just never know. It says organic, and you don't know. There is a lot of things that we can eat without, risking it. I would say the opportunity, Santos, to invite friends to join you. Of course, that is up to you. For questions in the second hour, what do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Ruth, the other thing with soy is it's 85% GMO, and it creates formaldehyde in the stomach.
Yes, I mean, it's very difficult to find organic soya anyway.
Yeah, look, when in doubt, go without. You don't need it. There are people who are just eating, say, apples and one day, and the next day bananas, and the next day pears, and they're just fruitarians, and they're healthy and good looking and living to 1,060 years. So it's okay. We don't have to have everything either. I think I'm one of the ones, because I love food so much, I'm one of the ones that really, really panics about the fact that I've got to simplify. I want to keep it as complicated as possible so I can taste lots of delicious food.
Yes, I mean, it's enjoyable to salads. I make amazing salads with herbs, a lot of herbs, especially coriander and parsley. I love those herbs. I have grown a lot this year, all different types of herbs. I love them. And you just chop your cabbages, which I need to learn about combinations, actually, now that you mentioned that. I know the combination, is very, very important. I need to learn more about it. But I do fantastic salads, beetroots, carrots, cabbages, 3 different types of cabbages, the red, the white, the green, tomatoes, radishes. I throw everything there. Always with some shredded ginger, and I just love it. You know, it's so delicious. You can taste all those flavors there with lemon juice. And it's wonderful. But like you, I also love taste, you know, fragrant.
Yeah, look, you should be experimenting now, and all of us really, and getting the appropriate diet for your appropriate level of consciousness that you are at. See, some people are still eating meat, but they don't realise that they're actually gone past the stage of eating it consciously and shouldn't be, because, you know, they want to continue evolving, but they don't know, you know, because it's so indoctrinated that meat eating, this carnism religion promoted by the elite, is real, and you know, and has been around for barbaric thousands and thousands of years, but hasn't. This is false. It's just a recent thing, you know. It's brutal, you know. It's wrong, really. But anyway, we should be experimenting and making sure, according to your body chemistry and your health and how you look and feel, because if you're feeling love and bliss all day long, you know that the food is doing you good. So if you're cooking your food all the time, well then, because you're not getting what we call vitamins and minerals and enzymes, because it's all dead, we start to get depressed and angry and fearful, and we just haven't got the right energy to feel good. And you feel just so enriched with rich, raw food, live food. Call it live food, there you go. But the thing is, you know, all these foods, even though what you'll do is you'll change your consciousness with the food that you change in your diet. That will happen, because every plant that you eat has its own consciousness. A carrot has its own consciousness, as different to the consciousness of a potato. And so, you know, people who eat a lot of potatoes, for instance, have a certain kind of, you know, something about them that comes from the potato. And it's, you know,
do you eat potatoes?
Nature. You know, cannabis. Yeah.
Okay. I do as well, because I do grow potatoes here, the normal potatoes and also the sweet potatoes, which are not ready yet, baked. I bake them, and they are delicious, the sweet potatoes. And but it's a dilemma, because it's a lot of conflict, internal conflict that goes on while you're in transition, where you are going through all this. You question so much. It's always in your head, you know, should I do this? Should I eat this? And it's a constant sort of battle, an internal battle that you ask yourself, because so much information out there, Santos, as well. It can be very confusing, you know, this transition about food. You shouldn't eat. Some people say don't eat carrots, because I think Dr. Sevi is one of them that do not encourage carrot, because it's hybrids. You know, Dr. Sebi, as we know, everything has to be pure, non-hybrid. So it can become very confusing when we're going through this important transition.
Yeah, for sure. So I would suggest that we all go within and listen. They call this listening to your own body, you know. Listen to your own body. I've heard that so many times, but it is true. You do need to listen to it. It will tell you. And especially if you are sincerely putting life energy on into the path, to walking the path and making alchemical improvements, you'll find it. Absolutely, you'll find it. You know, you will find the food that is good for you. And astrology, of course, knowing the science of your above sympathies with your below microcosm, and how you are bound by these sympathies eternally, or in the body that you have. This is the science of unleashing the true you in you, or releasing the true you that is in you, the true hero. And so that's because, why? Well, because when you know your chart, or when you know the archetypes and where they are housed in your chart and what energies they bring into that house, then you know how it is that you are driven, what negative forces are in your life. And there will be some. There will be. There's no chart. There's not a perfect chart in existence. Can't happen.
Yeah, I guess
Simply
otherwise
can't
we
happen.
wouldn't be here. If we are not meant to resist, to face resistance of some kind.
Well, all of these archetypes would be resolved in their oneness, and so there's no wave. You see, the wave of astrology, the sine wave, the ecliptic, only happens in the electrical world, phenomenally. But in the spiritual world, which is the causal world, which is motion in suspension, the wave is coiled back into suspension, or flat-lined. It's not. There's no wave. There's no polarity in unity world, in the true universe that we come from. So that wave is part of the illusion. It's a condition. It's the 12 mental conditions and the 7 physical conditions of the universe. 12 is mind, 7 is body. And these are the archetypes expressed in the flower of life. The flower of life has 19 circles, 1 in the middle, 6 surrounding. That makes 7. And surrounding that nucleus of 7 circles, all touching each other, which is why 7 is such a perfect number, for that very reason, that 7 circles all touching each other of the same size form that beautiful shape of the nucleus of the flower of life. Surrounding these 7 are 12 circles. And so 12 and 7, the 7 is the physical inside, the seed, and the 12 is the mental forces are surrounding the 7, which interact with the 7. And this is the science of astrology. And so when you discover these dynamics and attributes and energies in your chart, then you know how to conduct yourself. It's like, if the more you get to know the horse that you're riding, and its characteristics, the more you can successfully do work. So the body is like this. The body is, some bodies, you see people with strong backs, really strong backs, good-looking, straight, strong backs. Others, you see, they've got arched backs. Well, that's in the chart, you see. Others have really weak livers. Others don't have a problem with their livers. Some people have asthma and breathing problems. Others simply don't seem to have breathing problems. All of this is dished out along the ecliptic at the moment of birth and conception, at those 2 points, those 2 junctures of the material life. And those are preset. That's the natal chart, or the radix chart. Notice the word radix, Ra, and Dix would be God. And your natal chart is called the radix chart. And so that's where you begin your knowing. And you learn this chart, and then you progress the chart. So if you were born on the 24th of March 1963, as I was, then at the age of 5, to see what kind of year I had at the age of 5, I would progress the chart a day for a year. And so I would go to the 29th of March, and there I would discover all the energies of my 50th year of life. So now I'm 52, I go to May the 15th. So my secondary direction or major progression, which is called a major progression, has extended from March the 24th when I was born, and I add 52 days, which brings me to middle of Taurus, or middle of May, May 15. And so in that progressed chart, I discover the things pertaining to this year, you see. And see, knowledge of these things is what the initiate had to have. And of course, he had the right diet too, because only the vegetarian consciousness is suitable for for initiation. I mean, the ones that kept knocking at the door, as they said, keep on knocking and it shall be answered. That pertains to the mystery schools, you see. The mystery schools were guardians of this sacred knowledge, and of course ones that wanted to be initiated would knock at the doors of these institutes to seek initiation, and of course the door would be opened and certain questions were asked, and of course the diet was part of that questioning, and of course they could not proceed. It wasn't told to them what they were supposed to do, but if they failed in such and such and such, the door was shut again, because if you haven't arrived at that awakening yourself through the, proddings of different individuals and certain things that we learn along the way in our life, if we still haven't worked that out and we're slow, well then, no one's going to force you. Everything has to be voluntary. Our ascension has to be voluntary. We have to want to ascend from the descended state that we've been in for a good long while.
I can see why you bring in this information now. It's so important, so vital. The change that we need to do, those who are seeking, of course, to ascend, is so important. I can see now, as I'm listening to you, a lot of thoughts come into my mind, and they say, my God, yes, it's vital. It's vital to have this information to click. For those who has not clicked,
It is. I know that certain ears will not delight in what I'm saying, but unfortunately that's the ego that needs to be persecuted. I'm not going to go down in history as one who neglected to share the most important secrets with people who wanted to really, really know and thought that I might know. If there's something that is crucial to you for your ears and for your ascension, I want to, if you truly are worthy and you're drinking at this table worthily, I will share those with you. So I will withhold nothing. You can know now that there is no other secret that that I know of that will not be of benefit to you. Those are the two pretty much secrets. That the alchemical process starts with what you eat. You are what you eat. So if you're having bacon and eggs and you knock on one of those doors of the mystery school, hello, can I come in? I just had bacon and eggs and hey, I want to be spiritual. It's like, okay, well look, knock next year, brother. See ya. You have to work that out yourself. You don't know why you keep reincarnating. You haven't asked the question why you keep coming to this cesspool of desire and lust and hate and fear and greed and this state that you're sharing in with others. Well, if you haven't worked it out, it's pretty easy. It's because what you eat. And that's the start of it. And it's because of what you know. And to know the highest science is the science of astrology. So those are the two polarities. And in between, I've shared all the other things that I know that are of the highest of secrets that we can know in my presentations. It's all, I've never been backward about being forward about sharing secrets. I know that you can be, in ancient times, people were stoned to death if they shared some of the secrets from the mystery schools once they were released. They made a vow that they should never, ever, ever teach anyone unworthy or, throw these gems like pearls to swine. They made a vow. And you just can't talk about those things. Well, I really haven't made a vow to any mystery school, really. But nonetheless, I have made a vow that I won't throw my pearls to swine. And so those are the pearls that one day you will thank me for, no matter how much you hate me for it right now for saying it. Probably because you don't want to stop eating lower, grosser foods and you don't want to make those diet changes. Or secondly, there's an apathy, a lethargy there, and an inertia sort of state toward learning the higher sciences such as astrology. They're higher in that they are nobler, not in that they are more difficult. Astrology is simple. It's so simple. It's not necessarily easy, but it's simple. So that's why there's this sort of a contemplative sense of trepidation when the science of astrology is considered. First of all, people have their prejudices. Tropical astrology is wrong, sidereal astrology is wrong, precessional slippage has, caused astrology to be out of kilter. The year is not calibrated correctly since Pope Gregory corrected it 400 years ago. Julian was a criminal, and so his Julio-Gregorian calendar can't be right. Blah, 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 blah. All of these noisy things, Everything's okay with astrology. It's all okay. It's all okay. No need to be scared of it. It's pretty simple. Tropical astrology is basically 100% correct, and it is the chief science of all the sciences. That is not excluding sidereal. It's not cursing it. It's not suggesting that any of the other kinds, are inaccurate. But tropical is the foundation. Simple. The foundation of all astrology is tropical. And so as the sun hops on the ecliptic on March the 21st, that is where the equinox is. Yes, it is. It's always been there. It always has. It never will depart from that point because that's how sine waves work. Therefore, the sun enters Aries 0 degrees and begins its 360-degree ecliptic. And Aries will always be there. It can't precess because Aries belongs to the first 30 degrees of any ecliptic and any photon wave produced anywhere in the universe, period. The first 30 degrees of any projection of light anywhere in the universe, no matter when, no matter where, belongs to Aries. And then from the 30th degree to the 59th degree, which is the next 30-degree segment along any ecliptic, anywhere, anytime in the universe, belongs to Taurus. And so these things don't precess. There's no precession in astrology that is accountable, that is to be factored into tropical astrology. Because as the sun produces these, changes its nature from the first degree of Aries to the second, and so on, all the way through the ecliptic, and so these archetypes of degrees, of angles or angels, good or bad, otherwise known as demons, affect the life of the individual. Tropically. The tropical system is the root and foundation, and it is the primary force of all astrology, period. So don't lose faith in that when you read a Vedic astrology website and they say, oh yes, but the tropical Western astrology is inaccurate, or a lot of them say unaccurate. I have a laugh, I really do. don't pay attention, simply just don't pay attention, because this is just propaganda. And it's really probably ignorance. I think these are not really super duper qualified scientist type astrologers. I think they're just beginners, and they don't understand. But tropical astrology is definitely the basis of everything. Everything works along waves, so every wave will act the same way. Every wave begins its 0 point right ascension of meridian from Aries. So that is the beginning of force. It is the beginning of, it's the first sign. It is the I am, and that's how waves are. They start with I am, because every wave is, you see? And then as it goes through 12 different arcs along that, it passes through what's called 12 central suns. There are 12 suns on each 30-degree segment of the ecliptic. You see, these are not out in space. They are in our solar system. Astrology is all in our solar system. It's all of it. The stars basically belong to the firmament. What is the zodiac. The ecliptic is not the zodiac. Okay? The ecliptic is, the zodiac is behind the ecliptic of the sun. So the constellations in the sky are varying degrees. Virgo might be 48 degrees, I don't know, 45, 47, it's not going to be 30 degrees. They are not 30 degrees each in the firmament, in the stars, in the zodiac. They are 30 degrees each on the ecliptic. And so, as Thomas H. Burgoyne said, as Thomas H. Burgoyne said, I'm trying to pull it up on my computer, actually. I want to share this with folks before we do question and answers. I've gone a bit too far, haven't I, really, Ruth? But maybe I can do it next week. If I can do a show next week, or the next time we do a show, how about we do that? Let's do tropical astrology, and I want to begin with Thomas H. Burgoyne's explanation for how it is that the tropical system is based on the primary force and influence of the astrology through the ecliptic in the solar system. And the solar system is actually a solar cell, okay, surrounded by what's called a firmament. And the firmament is where the precessing stars are. That's the sphere of Uranus. So I think we can do that next time. Uranus is the ruler of the whole, from the heavens. Uranos, the heavenly one, with his 84 year orbit, is actually the master keeper of time, not his son Saturn, who is inside the firmament. And Saturn is the first of the 7 spheres on the inside of the firmament, whereas Uranus is the first of the spheres on the outside, and he is the heavens which contain the zodiac stars. And they precess simply to give us the age that we are in. As we say, we're in the age of Aquarius, because that firmament has precessed. And so beyond that then is the Sea of Neptune, and then beyond that is the Primum Mobile of Pluto. And those 3 upper spheres are the 3 spheres of, being and mind and emotion. They are the being and mind and emotion spheres, which create the 7 lower spheres, and these are the 10 Sephiroth of Kabbalah. And that's the solar system we live in, and that's how astrology works. Works on that basis.
Beautiful. Oh my God.
So we can just question and answers.
Yes. Is question times, friends. And as I said earlier, there are 2 ways you can join us. You can either call using your telephone or mobile, and the number to call is 1971-533-7838. And my favorite method of joining us is using Skype. And our Skype handle is astrotheologyradio.com. All one word, astrotheologyradio.com. You can join us by calling either by phone or Skype, or you can write your question in the chat. I am alone today. I don't have a helper, although that Luis from Brazil offered his help. I don't know how it's going to work this, but please, if you don't want to call, you can write your questions in the chat room, and we are going to do our very best. But Santos, listening to you, my goodness, oh my God, what a reminder of the wisdom that you have. Always feel blessed. Every time I hear you, I feel blessed, because my God, it's so important. It's so vital. It's everything, this information for today. Because so much is going on out there. The wave of confusion comes in many different levels, and height and strength. And sometimes you allow yourself to sweat away by waves of negativity, a lot of new age stuff going, so much is going on, and you have to be so careful. And there you are, and then it rescues us. This information, this knowledge, rescue us. It put us on track. It helps us to tune in to the true wave. So it's not by coincidence that it's the science of light.
No, it's no coincidence at all. True. It is a science of light.
Yeah, it's illumined the path.
It's how it works.
It does indeed. It's a lantern to illumine the soul. This is the path to go. Right, so, okay, question from Scorpio Rising and Jonah 2. So let's have those questions. How we're going to do, Luis? Let me go to the chat room, and I'm going to do my very best to spot them. Please bear with me. There's a lot of chat going on here. So, Jonah, do you mind writing the question once again? Question. Okay, this is from Alex Fate. What does Santos think of the connection that a person may get from rearing an animal in order to eat it? Forming a bond with an animal, life and death. And that is from Alex Fate. Did you understand the question, Santos?
Raising an animal to eat it, and
the bond that you form.
I guess getting to know the animal.
Basically.
Yeah. No. Well, I'm of the mindset that this is not acceptable. For me.
Okay. And let me have a look. Oh my goodness, so much is going on here. Where do I go? So please bear with me. Okay, Alex is saying thank you to you, Santos, for answering the question, or at least giving your feedback. Do you meditate or do you do any visualization during your meditations? What are some of the practices you do or techniques, Santo? That question is for you. Of course.
Meditation, lots of things really. I do a lot of like sunbathing and meditating in the sun while doing Tai Chi. just to channel the energy into the body. I'll mix that with a bit of yoga, dancing, weightlifting. So that's the yoga and meditation for the body. And I also like to put coconut oil on my body in the sun, and apple cider vinegar. I do that as much as I can. So physical stuff, though, I make it up as I go. So I've learnt a few Tai Chi things. I've learnt, of course I do a bit of dancing. I've learnt a little bit of different styles of dancing over the last few years. I guess I'm not a good dancer at all, but I do enjoy it, and I find that it's a good way of doing yoga. I say to people, if you can learn merengue or salsa or something, it's just simple steps, doesn't have to be complicated, and you can just have a dance at night. That's your physical yoga. It'll really meditate you and relax you. But spiritually and emotionally and mentally, lots of other things that I do. I burn a lot of incense. I use balms for meditation. I have a bell, and I have different acoustic sounds for sound and meditational music. Apart from the diet, I also have soaked my feet a lot in magnesium, hot water and magnesium. This is also good for the body and for meditation. Of course, I do things alone as much. I play the guitar and exercise on the guitar for meditation. So you can do a simple finger exercise for 10 minutes. That's a meditation, because you're actually witnessing your fingers warming up and improving. And when you're reading books, in particular spiritual books and philosophical stuff, that is a meditation. So all of these activities make one meditation. Meditation is one, and you're doing it in all its forms. But most importantly, in meditation, one would need to just stop and have a few seconds of bliss, I would say. And from a few seconds to as much as you can, 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day. But at least to stop for yourself and channel all the energies of love into you for that moment. So the whole universe comes to you. And that's important, so that, you're working from the center of your heart. And your body is a universe unto itself. So you know now how to working with the macrocosm. My meditation is, from the moment I get up is my prayer to the moment I go to sleep, because there's no distractions, none at all. Everything I do is for the betterment of myself or for others, everything. So the moment I get up, I don't have to go to work, go to work and earn a living and things like that. So everything's in. All I do is meditate all day long. I'm here now meditating with you guys. And you guys doing the same thing, because you know this stuff. We all do. We just have to hear it in different ways from different people. But in the end, we'll all just know it all. And remember it. But certainly, I've finally found a beautiful place in my life where I can do this. I know some of the listeners can't. They're living in big smoggy cities and stuff like that. But as you create that goal with your willpower, the universe will make it happen, I guess. It did for me. A couple of years back, even a year ago, I was in Melbourne, in the pollution. And now I'm out of the city. I'm not in the city. That's a big step. And that's the big step that people need to make, I think. I know. And that way, good side effects will come from that. People will be more community-minded, love each other and care for each other. Rather than using blood money, they'll barter and trade, work with each other more, cooperate instead of compete. And we will go back to using the natural, fruit of the earth as it was intended to be. It's a usufruct, symbiotic situation that we have with Mother Earth, but she freely gives her fruits to us, and we don't have to spill any blood, and we don't have to do any more hurting of others and ourselves, because it's only hurting ourselves, because ultimately you'll have to come back to taste the blood back and back and back until this lust is removed from your psyche, because you cannot create on higher realms with the animal instinctive etheric energy in you, and that's what a steak will do. A steak stays in your intestines for 30 years, putrefied. Only a good colon cleanse will remove some of those steaks that are sitting there, and some of those bacon and egg breakfasts that have been sitting there in the stomach in the intestines for decades. And that vital force is still there because it's not dead. As long as it's there and not decomposed, it's there. So you've got a bit of bull in you, you've got a bit of cow in you, and pork and swine and whatever else you've had. Until such time as all of that is removed from the body, all connection with animal, instinctive mind and the eating thereof is separated from your philosophical and mystical self, who is returning to universality. You see, Carnism is the religion of individuality and personality. But vegetarianism is the religion of universality. There's no vegetarians in any armies on this planet. They just don't go to places where you can kill anything. Where killing is part of anything. There's no vegetarian policemen and policewomen. I can promise you that. Rest assured. Look around. If you can find one, I'll give you $1,000. There you go. But all of these bullies in the armies, that know that their job is to kill because they think they're protecting their country, which is a map on a paper, they're meat eaters. Absolutely, because you go out there unconsciously. It's not condemning them. They've got their heroic path to walk. They don't know any better. And they are lower heroes. Of heroes, there are three kinds. The Jupiterian is the highest allotment. Those are ones that save themselves and others. Neptune is the middle allotment, the psychic waters of Neptune, different kind of condition than Jupiter. But Jupiter is Neptune in his other person. He is and Pluto the lower bottom level. So these ones are like Ulysses, who saved himself but couldn't save his men. And then the bottom kind are the Plutonian levels, which is also Jupiter's lowest level. So it's all Jupiter, but Jupiter in his different. And so Pluto has to do with these ignorant, unawakened ones who do heroic things. For instance, give their lives in a war, So they're not really doing something harmful without being something beneficial without being harmful. And this is the art of syncretism and the true science, to do all things that are beneficial which do not have an equal and opposite harmful effect. That's the trick. And it can be done. And it is done. It's doable.
Absolutely. Wonderful. This question is from Luis from Brazil. There is a word, eon, I think that's how you pronounce it, eon or ion, removed from the King James Bible, which by definition means age. Also eon in the Greek, goodness of the circle and the zodiac. An eon, a part of an atom. Eon is ether of Om. Is eon the part of the atom responsible to produce the wheel circle or cycle or this? Okay, so sorry, let me put that into a better pronunciation. I'm not pronouncing this correct. Eon is the ether of Om. Is eon the part of the atom responsible to produce the wheel circle of the zodiac? For we can find a T inside an eon. Does it make sense, Santos?
Not really.
Oh dear.
Eon, yeah, look, the Greeks had a word for time, yes, and that's an eon of time, an age. And so the ages are all placed along the ecliptic. And they are 2,160 years each. But I've corrected that, that's wrong. It's actually 2,016 years each because of Uranus. Uranus does 24 revolutions in 2,016 years. So that's the true age of Pisces, was 2,016 years long, an eon. And so the zoon, or, you know, the circle of the zodiac, is pretty much related to this eon, zoon, the circle of the animals. And so, and this is the circle where the nature of man is, the lower nature is described as a lion, an eagle, a man, and a bull, the fixed signs of the zodiac. But the spiritual fifth animal is the Lamb of God, and that's the animal of the higher nature, you know, decked in purple, the crown chakra and the cerebrum. Aries, the Lamb of God, sitting on the top of Mount Meru. You see your spinal column, the mast of Ulysses' ship. In Hindu, it's called Meru Danda. I'll say it again because that's a biggie. That's a biggie. Meru Danda. Well, Danda is Dan, Adam. It's atomic. And Meru is mountain, Mount Meru. You see? In the Jewish system, that's Mount Moriah. You see? Where the lamb is sacrificed. Abraham sacrificed the lamb, not Isaac, the lamb, the ram, caught in the thicket on Mount Moriah. That's Mount Meru, Merudanda, the spinal column. Yeah, Adam's mountain Meru, Mount Zion, where the Lamb of God is with his 144,000 singing as if a new song.
Thank you. Luis is saying you got it. Thank you very much. So you answer his question. And this one is from Scorpio rising. Saturn moved out of retrograde today, leaving a Scorpio, which has revealed so much the last two and a half years. Loads is retrograding right now. So basically he wants to know about Saturn movement.
Oh, look, I'm so glad to know this, Luis, that Saturn is going out of retrograde in Scorpio today. Oh, you don't know how happy I am to know this.
That is
that's
from
a goodie.
Scorpio rising, not from Luis. Luis was the one who asked you about Eon, what you just answered. So this is from
sorry.
Scorpio rising.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. I'm gonna do today's chart actually now that I know that, because I want to see what degree Saturn is in, because I want to explain to people born around my time or 7-year harmonics of that. It's going to be a good thing for you guys. Saturn needs to be out of Scorpio. You want him to be in Sagittarius. It's very nice for Saturn direct in Sagittarius right now, and I'll explain why. But I'm going to do today is pull up today's chart. 2nd of August. Wow, we're coming up to your birthday, Ruth.
Yes, my birthday is on the 10th of August. Very soon. I'm going to be 50 years old.
Well, the 8th, is that, did you say the 8th of August?
The 10th. The 10th.
Oh, the 10th, okay,
1964.
Right, Well, this is a very, very precious time. This is when, in the liturgical year, on the 6th of August, when Jesus gets transfigured on the mountain with his 4 disciples. And of course, in the Baroque and Renaissance period, this is one of the most famous paintings that you can see. That this is a theme and motif that is so popular. With Raphael did one, I think Michelangelo did one. You know, where Jesus is transfigured on this mountain. You see, well, that happens on August the 6th. Well, when I release my presentation, The Holy Days on the Ecliptic, soon I've got 22 presentations to release, you'll understand why the sun gets why the 6th of August is so important in the liturgical year. Because you'll know it because you'll know the ecliptic. You'll understand all things by knowing the ecliptic. And you'll know that that is basically the hottest central point of summer and the midsummer point, and really pretty much the middle of Leo the lion, right there. There it is. And so what happens when the lion, the sun in Leo, is like Samson slaying a lion, or Hercules slaying the lion, one of the 12 labours. But the sun is also conjunct Sirius, is it not? So really the sun conjunct Sirius in Cancer, but it's known that that conjunction causes the dog days right about now. In fact, is it the dog days now? Does anyone know?
Does any of the friends know? I don't know.
If anyone knows, please put it in the chat, but I think it's the dog days. So why is it the dog days? Well, because the sun is conjunct Sirius. And so the dog is Sirius. And
let me have a look. I seen someone... Sorry, Santos. I seen someone answer to your question. Yes, it is, according to Ife Wilder, and also Dan Fouts say yes, it is. So
yeah, there you go. So being the dog days, you understand this holy day that's coming up in 4 days, the 6th of August. And then on the 15th of August, the Italians have one of their most famous festivals all year round, Ferragosto, where they celebrate the Assumption, what's called the Assumption of the Virgin, Ferragosto. That's what they call it. At 15th of August. That's another one to look out for. The Assumption of the Virgin. I wonder why the Virgin is assumed or taken into heaven just about 10 days after Jesus is transfigured in heaven on the ecliptic. It's 11 days. Why would she be assumed, the Assumption, on the 15th of August, and then on the September 8th, just 3 weeks later, she's born, the Nativity of the Virgin? Well, that's because Virgo hides behind the sun when the sun transits Virgo. That transit begins on the 15th of August, when Virgo is no longer... You cannot see any part of Virgo
from the 15th of August through to the 8th of September along the ecliptic.
Wow.
Therefore, the 15th of August, coming up in 2 weeks' time, is the Assumption of the Virgin. Right now you go out and you can see Virgo. Go out. Have a look and you'll see Virgo. Right? But watch the 15th of August. That's the Assumption of the Virgin. And you won't see her anymore. But then she'll be born again on the 8th. You'll see her head pop up and you'll say, there you go. There's the Nativity of the Virgin. But 11 days prior to the 15th of August is the 6th of August, the Transfiguration of the Christ, because the Christ is Leo. Leo is in his glory days now. But his mummy in Virgo, see, Leo is the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the son of David, Jesus Christ the Messiah of Nazareth. It's Leo, conjunct Sirius. It's the sun in Leo. And it gets transfigured in Leo. And the Virgin gets assumed in Virgo, the 15th. Well, it's actually Leo. It's funny because that's when Virgo disappears from sight while the sun's still in Leo on the 15th of August, Ferragosto. And you will find that this celebration is also significant, the 15th of August. Let me pull up my presentation PowerPoint while you pull up another question, Ruth, and I'll deal with that.
Okay. Ooh, fascinating times indeed. Well, you know, Santos, so many sources are coming with September, something is going to happen in September, from everywhere. So someone here, his name is Dave Angel, I think I'm pronouncing that correct, if not, apologies. Dave is asking, what do you think will happen, the blood moon, September 28th?
Well, there's many potentials, and it's up to us what will happen. Once you understand that, then you know how it all works. If you want the fall of injustice and blood money and banks and crime, it will take place in those scales of justice. If you don't want it enough, it won't. So we are the creators. I'm working that out now. And so I'm trying to change and transmute me so that I can affect that change out there. But we need to do it together, and we can do it and we will do it. But the potential is for, it depends on how strong these banksters are and how strong their demons are and are still surviving, because Babylon the Great will fall in 1 hour, remember that. And it'll be a sudden surprise to everyone when it falls. It's not going to be like, oh, we expected it. Even though you expected it, you will never expect it to be so sudden. That's how Babylon's fall. The fictions fall all in a heap. It's like a card, a house of cards, man. You just pull one card out and it's all down, falls. Just falls down. And that's what fiction is. It's about to fall. And we're the ones that are awakening from this nightmare, and we're making it fall. So we can't relent, man. We've got a big responsibility. I can't pussyfoot around anyone's prejudices and opinions. So today I've shared some brutal truths. You've got to get off meat and you've got to know your astrology. And so I don't want to be known as someone who was a half-truther.
Bless you for that, Santos.
So let me find out what's going on the 15th of August in my presentation. Let's have a look at this. Assumption of the Virgin, 15th of August. Peter Paul Rubens in 1640. I've got one of his famous paintings here in 1640. There you go. Assumption of the Divine and Holy Virgin Mary. Ferragosto. That's it. Well, in Italy they're having Ferragosto, the Assumption of the Virgin. But in the Muslim world it's called Wafa Anil. al-Nil. Wafa al-Nil. I think I've got it right. I don't know. But anyway, that means the flooding of the Nile. And that has been an important natural cycle in Egypt since ancient times. And it's celebrated by the Egyptians as an annual holiday for 2 weeks, starting on August 15. You see, so not only is the sun conjunct Isis, but on August 15 is that date where Wafa el-Nil, the Nile, Wafa el-Nil, is celebrated. So, and what they do is the Coptic Church, they throw a martyr's relic into the river. And so they believed that the Egyptians, that the Nile flooded every year because of Isis's tears of sorrow for a dead husband, Osiris. Well, yeah, because when the sun is conjunct Sirius, she's happy, because that's her son. But when he goes down to Christmas time, in winter, December, the solstice of the 21st, she mourns because he's so far away. It's the opposite sign. And so poor little old son at the winter solstice, her son, he's got to be Sol Invictus now. He's got to conquer. And so she's welling up all these tears, and then when they get together, unfortunately, the Nile is a display of this sadness now that he's further waning and going back down to Hell and Tommy at the St. Thomas Day, 21st of December, the solstice, St. Thomas Day, down in Hell and Tommy, cold, wintry hell, inferno, inverno, same word. So, and then of course, I will keep you posted on the 29th of August, because that's the day that I promised I would release some information, didn't I? I did that on the 15th of April, which was when the Analema crosses in the figure 8 shape.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So the 29th of August, St. John the Baptist loses his head day. That's when the top portion of the Analema, the sun goes through and crosses over to the bottom portion. That's where he loses its head. And Leonardo da Vinci has got a couple of paintings based on that theme, and there's many others with John the Baptist and Saint Anne and and Mary with the boys, you know, jumping around. There's Jesus, and there's his 6-month-old cousin John. And of course, John's birthday is basically the opposite of Jesus's. So the Cancer solstice, you know, St. John the Baptist beheading day, or birthday rather. And that's why he says, I will go on decreasing and he will go on increasing, because one, John the Baptist's birthday is at the Tropic of Cancer, and Jesus is at the Tropic of Capricorn, and the sun's got to go up and down and up and down and up and down. So anyway, so I will repost, probably put a bit of extra work into my already posted note on Facebook called The Analema. I would recommend to everybody who's sincere about astrology to study The Analema through my short little article that I posted on Facebook, and share it with people as much as you can, called The Analema. Because once you meditate on The Analema, it will have the secrets for you that will show you that we live on a flat earth plane, a sphere. But you must meditate on the Analema, otherwise you'll never get it. And you'll never understand how it is that the Analema reveals all the secrets of our solar cell that we live in. We're in a cell, guys, and we're enclosed by a firmament, and the earth is a sphere. We don't live on a sphere, we live in a sphere, as the ancient Hindus forever taught, Bhumandala. Bhumandala is the flat earth, and above is the 10 rings of Kabbalah, you know. The Hindus taught that this was moon first, Mercury second, then Venus, then Sun, then Mars, then Jupiter, then Saturn, and then above Saturn was his daddy Uranus in the firmament, and then above Uranus is Neptune, which is the crystalline sea, the psychic world of the universe, and then Pluto is the primum mobile. And this is called the Empyrean, the fire abode, where we live, where we come from. And we have projected ourselves down in these 10 conditions. That's why we have 10 fingers, and 10 petals in the solar plexus. And so I was going to talk about the 4 seed atoms in the body. I forgot to mention all of them, but the soul of man is vested in the seed atom in the heart. The emotion body is vested in the liver vortex of the being, the individual. The liver is the emotion vortex, and the mind vortex is in the frontal sinus, connected with the cerebrum and the pineal gland and the crown chakra, Aries. And the body vital force is vested in the solar plexus. There are 4 seed atoms. And these 4 seed atoms, friends, I can't stress how much they need vital support. They need you to support them with what you put in your mouth. You can't just have a yum-yum diet. Oh, yum-yum, look at that nice bit of cake there. Nice cream and aspartame and white refined flour and all sorts of toxic salts that haven't been sun-dried. And you're just eating just a bunch of poo, really. And those atoms are suffering, really. Please pay attention to what you eat.
There you are. They want to...
Yeah, very...
The body wants to change, want to transmute to something higher, but we are not letting it due to ignorance. Right. Okay, I have a question here from Sun Moon. Santos, have you done monthly whole astrology chart? Looks like he had a stellium in Pisces. And is it true that many people with Pisces in their chart likes to seek spiritual knowledge?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They like to understand. Pisces is the 12th sign, 1 plus 2 is 3. And 12 is the root number of the universe. Everything is in root 12s. That's what Nikola Tesla was alluding to when he said, if you know the secret of 369, you will know the secret of the universe. Well, it's root 12 numbers, because when you do multiples of 12, it always reduces to 369, 369 in perpetuity. So 12, Pisces, is the sign of gathering up the harvest. You see, that's why Jesus, Jupiter, Zeus, Jesus, the ruler of Pisces, says, raise your eyes and see that the harvest is ready and the workers are few. Beg the master of the fields to send his servants out into the harvest. And that's Pisces. And Virgo, the opposite, where the harvest truly happens in August. And so Pisces harvests up everything, all of the experiences, everything is harvested up in that number 12. And it's the feet, it rules the feet, which is under the body, which is understanding the body. Hence, Pisceans want to understand. Not know, understand. Aquarians want to know. I know this, I know that. They're very hard to convince otherwise when they think they know something. But it's good because, that's one of the highest features of man. This fact of knowing, but knowing, see, 11 is the number of Aquarius, 1 plus 1 is 2, division. Knowing and mind is the root of division, according to Pythagoras. So they will forever be divided in their knowing. Whereas the trinity of Pisces, which is the number 1 and the number 2, 12, which gives you 3, 1, 2, 3, is the perfect number, 12, the root of the universe. You've got 13 in there, which is also part of the Fibonacci golden section spiral ratio, rather. And so you've got all the important numbers in that. And so being individuals of old soul, right at the end of the ecliptic, they gather up all the experiences and take them home. So They truly are. Manly P. Hall is a true Piscean, true Piscean on the ecliptic. He manifests all those Piscean things. I also have a stellium connected in Pisces. I have Jupiter and Mercury conjunct in Pisces and conjunct the Sun in Aries. So, but they're all close together and they make a stellium. So Sun, Mercury and Jupiter. This, I can guarantee you, is the reason why I have an astrological bent in the first place, because of that. And so, but Manly shows that, you know, he was a man that had profound understanding of the sacred sciences, and in his early 20s, in 1927, he published his Encyclopedia of Doctrines. I always encourage people to listen to his Astrotheology series of 5 presentations, free online, and to also listen to his 5 speeches on the Buddhic sheath, you know, about the 7 levels of consciousness and our evolution and disentanglement from matter and how we sublimate all of our grosser to finer things. Manly P. Hall's audios are just second to none. He truly has that motherliness of Piscean energy. It's very motherly, I think. Water is motherly. I don't see a masculine polarity in it at all, even though Jupiter is the ruler. Venus exalts in Pisces. Neptune is the co-ruler. But I see it as a Venetian sign. It's very Islamic. In fact, Pisces has been the period of Islam. Christianity was preceded it. If you're looking at the rubbishy lie of history that we've been told of the last 2,000 years, it's all wrong. But you can still put the ecliptic, superimpose it over everything, and you will get an understanding. So the understanding is that Islam, Venus, Isis, Venus, is Lam, the lamb or the ewe, which is the bride of the ram, Adam, or Mars, Venus. It's always Venus and Mars. It's everywhere you go, you'll find those 2 archetypes. They are it. Or Sun and Saturn, you know, and you can make any combination of them. Or Sun and Moon, for that matter. But this Isis has been around in the age of Pisces, really, as Islam. Before that, it was probably just called Sabianism, or, you know, astrological wisdom, or Sufism. I don't know, but certainly Islam, the lamb of Isis and her teachings, happened in Pisces. So that's how I see Pisces, as a wisdom sign. Venus is wisdom, beauty, and love. The aggressive side of Pisces would come from Jupiter when he's a tyrant, you know, and also the voluptuous side of Pisceans, you know, sometimes that shines through. That'll be Venus on her negative. You know, she is venereal, isn't she, after all, the venerated one, revered Venus. While you muster up the next question, because I'll do a little bit longer if you like, I'm just going to have a toilet break. Okay,
sure,
back in a minute.
Santos. So, yes, thank you, friends, again for joining us tonight here at Astrology Radio. Is my goodness, what a treat. It's always a treat. A true reminder of the jewels that come out of Santos. It just, my goodness, we are blessed. I always have said that we are truly blessed to have a Santos accessible, you know, to have these shows, asking questions and hearing all this wisdom, especially now, critical times for ascension, to become what we really are, to dress ourselves with all these beautiful dresses of light. But we need the tools, we need someone to show us the right dresses, if you wish. But I truly feel blessed to listening to Santos. So much knowledge, so much wisdom. And I love Manly Hall. As Santos said, very motherly indeed. You just feel how much he cares. The love radiates from his voice, the love for mankind. I thoroughly enjoy listening to Manly Hall. So
I'm back.
welcome back, Santos. I was saying I love Manly Hall, and you were very right when you said that his energy very motherly, because you can feel from his voice, his tone, his vibration, a complete love for humanity. Otherwise, he never would have done what he did. Complete dedication, his entire life dedicated to mankind, and true blessing for true lights for the world, like you are also, Santos. You are a God-sent souls, really, for this age.
I don't know. I would like to think that for myself. I really don't want to be uncertain about the future and my ascension and salvation and redemption for me. And so I hope that is the case for me, and I hope that's the case for you and all the listeners, really, because what else is there that is more beautiful to aspire to than the metamorphosis or the apotheosis of ourselves, whereby we now, exhaust all of desire of selfhood and relinquish and outgrow this and embrace universality, and then all the healing will occur on every level once we do this. And it's only a matter of a decision. We could do it today if we were ready. Today we could turn all the suffering and pain around by just accepting this universality and seeing in the eyes of each and every one of us, our lovers, our children, our fathers and mothers, the Eunice, yourself in there. If you fail to do this and you can't do that, then you still don't know where you are, because once you integrate all your levels of consciousness, you have a knowing of this. You can't, and once you know something, you can't unknow it. You can never unknow something that you know and learn. And so, as you continue to grow, you will only find more of yourself in other people, and there is only you to know. And it's scary from one perspective, really, but then on the other hand, it's more loving, it's more beautiful, because you would never harm yourself. You will never harm yourself, and your desire, you know what your desires are. Your desires are Sat Chit Ananda, bliss, consciousness, and existence, or I should say, existence, consciousness, and bliss. Say it the right way around. I keep doing that. Sit, Sat, Chit, Ananda. So, all you want is bliss, and that's your soul's desire. And how you can acquire that is by embracing the universal.
Yes, wonderful. Right, Santos, I have a question here from Ive Wilder. Can you tell me about my Saturn in Aquarius as it regards music and what I see as my gift?
I don't understand.
Okay, let me try to read it again for you. Can you tell me about my Saturn in Aquarius as it regards music and what I see as my gift? So obviously this person has a music gift, and Saturn is in Aquarius.
Yeah, okay. Well, you're very, very lucky because that is truly his mental home, Saturn. So 5 points of essential dignity. It's pretty good, even if Saturn's receiving, some harmful aspects or in a cadent house. He's still pretty happy in Aquarius, so it's a solid thing. It's essential dignity. It's his domicile, so it's definitely his element, Saturn. I also have Saturn in Aquarius in my chart and Jupiter in Pisces, so very lucky for those two. And the reason I say lucky is because my Saturn is in a poor house. It's in a cadent house, the 6th house, the house of illness. So even though he's essentially dignified, he is not accidentally dignified. So, but I was lucky at least that he wasn't retrograding or peregrine, which would mean that he was in a house outside of his 3 favourite houses, which are Capricorn and Aquarius, his domiciles, and Libra, his exaltation. So factor that into your nature, your musical nature. I think Saturn is really Apollo, the true Apollo, and he's the one who plays the harp, 7-stringed harp. Well, he's the Lord of 7 rings, and so you can aspire to the greatest skill really as a musician if you have Saturn in Aquarius and you are a musician. There's some essential energy there going towards that for sure, brother. Take advantage of that. If you've got a good Saturn in your chart, you should be able to produce some good music. He is very musical. He is the ruler of this principle that Pythagoras called harmony of the spheres. He is the only one that is actually 90-degree perpendicular alignment to his axis as his equatorial axis. The others are all out. That's why you can see Saturn's rings, because he is balancing perfectly. He's in tune perfectly, perfect entunement. And so you can't see the rings of Jupiter, which are more massive than Saturn's, but because he's not in alignment. Jupiter is wobbling. Jupiter has his energies are not perpendicular. They're skew-if. So once that happens, we're going to have some more harmony in the solar system, as above, so below. But don't minimize how much power you have in transforming the Sun and Saturn and the solar system. Don't minimize it. Just play with it and see what happens. But you can create great changes outside of you by changing inside of you. Whatever happens outside of you, I promise you, is having a correspondence by sympathies inside of you. So if there's a war in Lebanon or Gaza, well, maybe, that's a toxic liver in you. Maybe it's a gallbladder that's infected in you. Maybe it's asthma, or maybe it's fear that you have. But it will be resonating with something unpleasant in you. Rest assured. That's why we can never tolerate wars on this sphere. We cannot tolerate wars on this plane that we live on. We just can't do it, because if we do, then we will have to take medicine pills forever, because they will have an effect on our carcass. And so in order for you to have a perfect health, there must be perfect balance on this earth. There must be. Otherwise you will be sick. So this is why we can't go on spending blood money dollars, because we're just perpetuating our own sickness. And big pharma's there ready to capitalise. And all the other corporations are ready to capitalise on this religion of killing and death, and benefiting from ignorant people's stupidity. And this is how we affect change, guys. By honing in on your own pains and suffering and looking after them, healing them, not treating, not curing, but healing.
Oh my goodness, it's so important,
Millions.
this knowledge. Oh my God. Sorry, I just make you realize how vital it is to know all these things. It's a huge responsibility, Santos, actually, to have this knowledge, because now you understand why, assisting, helping others, service to mankind is actually one of the greatest responsibility that any enlightened, a person who is obtaining a knowledge, who is tuning, to the wave, to the true light, has, because once you know, you have a huge responsibility, which is not a burden, because I'm sure that you do what you do with so much, with almost love, sitting there for over 2 hours, because you know that it is that's all there is. It is to assist humanity, to give the light to someone else, so that they can enlighten themselves, or at least to show the path. I don't know what to say, but oh my goodness, it's big responsibility indeed.
Yeah, well, it is. If you see things that enable you to have a vision of how you can help others who are in dire straits, pretty much like the parable or the story of the cave, of Plato's cave, where the one that went out to actually verify what was out there and not in the shadows was, I think he was stoned to death, wasn't he, because he was trying to teach his fellow mates in the cave that were opinionated what was reality really was like. And so, as Plato said, that difficult it is to acquire this knowledge of the true God, and dangerous it is to publish, evidences the fact that people love their darkness, and somehow they've got a relationship with that darkness that comforts them. And perhaps that's because there are thought forms and egregores that they have created within that sphere of darkness called demons, emotion forms and thought forms, that they are connected to by silver cords, to their etheric vital body. So, and that happens when you have fits of anger, for instance. You can create these emotion forms. They first start in your emotion body, in the liver, in the vortex of the seed atom in the liver, and grow really and take on their own life eventually. And then eventually you'll be having conversations with that emotion form, and that, because you keep giving energy to that hurt and that anger that you once expressed initially, you now are giving more energy to it, and it becomes a demon, you see. And so in the sphere of darkness, of ignorance that people are in, there are all these demons. There's mental demons, emotion demons, and their own self-creations. You see, God doesn't send demons to persecute us. We do it ourselves. And people are attached to these. You see, remember when Jesus was preaching and a demonized man came out and went before him and saying, "This is Jesus, the Son of God, who has come before to Israel to save the sons of Israel." Well, Jesus said, "Shut up to that demon." Why? Well, because, this is what we create. We create these voices that really want attention. That's all they're doing. They're wanting attention. So when you see these shills that say go after Santos bonacci on the internet, you see these shills, they don't know it, apart from the fact that they must have guilty consciences taking money to be shills, blood money. They don't know that it's actually demons that they've created that allow them to do such a thing. To just be viciously there viciously just to snipe at various ones that are wanting to share truth and liberation with humanity, and they will go out of their way to say nasty things about them. And, you know, this pretty much just shows their demonized nature, because demons want attention, and they want to do things that will get the attention of their subject. See, I've been the subject of a lot of shills, right? Not as many as I would like. I mean, I'm feeling a bit lonely that there's so few. I thought I'd get many, many more. But anyway, I know now. I used to react with them, and I was very vicious too. But now I realise that that they are actually demonized. So you can't. There's nothing you can do. You know, even if you react with them, it's just pointless, because they're not in control of themselves. It's a demon behind them that really, really wants to get their attention and the attention of the individual that's being targeted in order to distract them. And it's very, very important that guys like you and I, Ruth, and many others listening, don't allow these demons to get their attention. Stay focused, you know, and be in yourself, and know that it's a higher energy that's seeking the attention. So don't feed it, because what we will grow is we will grow our own thought forms and emotion forms that are not demonic and that are unifying. We will grow our own beautiful egregores. And how we do that is by staying focused and united, right? So don't let any ego get in the way of your path. It's going to happen. People are going to try and trip you up.
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely, Santos. You know, in this path, or trying to know, seeking knowledge, and you find everything, and we know that we have come across with some very interesting entities out there, and I think I've been quite good. You know, I don't really pay attention. I just don't care. I know how to deal with them. Most often than not, I just don't pay any attention, to be honest. But I have been lucky. I'm not being really. I mean, why should anyone target me? You know. But I completely agree with you, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. So once you understand the nature of all things and how it is that individuals work, right? Because the individuals are projected from universal principles. So individual particulars come from universal principles. Okay, so individual particulars would be individuals. You know, you and me, we're individualized in our seed atoms, you know, apart from, say, God, right? So once you realize that we come from universal principles, well then it's no use arguing with people that have opinions. It's just no use. It's silly. Debating is wrong. Debating is just, you know, wasting energy, really, because the truth should just be allowed to grow. It's a creature. It's not a word. You know, it's a being. Truth is what God's soul is defined as by Pythagoras and Proclus and guys like that. The soul of God is made of the substance of truth. The body of God is made of the substance of light. And so you see how truth and light are so important, especially truth. So there's no arguments. If you're arguing, that means you're still in the land of opinions. Truth stands alone. Either you accept it or you don't. And those who don't accept it are in the blindness, and you cannot awaken them. That seed has to die and grow on its own. You know, you can't make a tree from an acorn You can't make an oak tree from an acorn unless you kill it first in the ground and it's reborn. And so these haven't even been reborn, these ones. You know, they're still dead in their grave.
The other day I was trying to explain my daughter how we don't... well, I was reading to her some very beautiful passages about loving everyone. And then she said to me, Mommy, even the bad people, we call them the baddies, you know. That's what I've been trying to teach my daughter since early, the baddies and the goodies. And she said to me, even the baddies. And I said to her, well, it's actually a fascinating subject because what this trying to tell us, that we love everyone, but we do not accept, we reject their behaviors. We embrace, we honor and respect the potential human being in a person, that being that having this experience, but we have all the rights and all, actually it's a duty to reject certain behaviors, like for example aggression, lying, stealing, all those things. We reject those things, you know, but we do not reject the being that is having that experience. It's sort of kind of complicated concept, a bit confusing, but that's how I see it. You see, that for me it goes to what you're saying here. You know, we love those people who are holding their demons so dear, and they're holding into it, but we still love them. We separate ourselves from them, and we just let them be. What else can you do?
Well, yeah, you can only remember the days when you were caught up in those, illusions. The illusion of separateness and division. It's simply just an illusion. It's almost incurable malady, according to Buddha. You see, selfhood, the almost incurable malady. So why are we, why are we perhaps being affected? If we are by this condition, we shouldn't be. I know it's hard. We've got family with 1 foot in that world and 1 foot out, not necessarily paying attention. You know, you can see them still doing gross things in their lives, indicating that there's not much awareness of the higher mind, indicating that they're still believing so rigidly in this concrete delusion of selfhood and all of its, connected troubles and side effects.
Absolutely. There you are. So much to learn. So, Santos, how would you like to take another question?
I can do one more then. It's up to you. I know it's very late for you. For me, it's not. It's just mid-morning, so I'll leave it up to you.
Take another one. This is from someone who just joined very recently. Great fool. Greetings. Kindly ask Santos what recording message explains God in detail. Thank you. And Santos, as always, he vows and he is appreciated. And that is from Grateful.
Okay, so I didn't really get the first part of the question then.
He or she wishes you to tell which recordings, I guess audio, past shows, or any message that explains God in detail. What is God?
Well, really, you can just watch any of my presentations because God is source, which is infinite undifferentiated, unqualified, unlimited, everlasting life principle. So that's God in that sense, in which God doesn't really fit in for that indescribable being that is the source and cause of all principles. But God that we talk about generally is basically the God of motion in action, the demiurgos, the second creative force, the force at the root of division, which is the vibratory wave and the sine wave and the ecliptic that I do. So if you watch any of my presentations, you'll get to know that God. That's the God of the sine wave. That's God. But it's the demiurgos. But it's the God we get to know so that we can, if you see the Son, you can see the Father. As Jesus said, if you've seen the Son, you've seen the Father. The Son is the sine wave because it's the soul of the universe. The soul is described on the sine wave. And so, but the Father is the spirit of the universe. So one is the demiurgos, one is the source, one is the effect, one is the cause. And God is the ecliptic. Adam is the ecliptic. The Son is Adam, and the Son is the demiurgos, together with his little helpers, Little Red Riding Hood and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's always those seven visible planets. It's not that the others are not as luminous, or they're more distant. It's that they will never be necessarily luminous. They don't have to be, because then they're spiritual archetypes. We don't see all the bodies of the orbs anyway. The Sun is a massive, massive orb body. It's the body of Michael the Archangel, but we only see the incandescent core of his toroidal field. We only see one organ, the heart. That's the heart. The soul is the heart. So we're seeing the heart of our solar cell in the Sun. Jupiter is the liver. Mercury is the cerebrospinal system and communication. Saturn is the tissue and the bones. But they all have their seat in our bodies, and so what was the question now? I forget the question. I was going to relate it to that. Anyway, I think I've pretty much answered it.
Too. Yes, as you said, you had so many presentations covering that so nicely. The wave, beautiful. Excellent. And the last question, Santos, here is from Intrepid Labs. For Santos, what is the relation between the Russell cube and astrology?
The which cube? Walter Russell's cube? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he's talking about, the cubes and spheres. Just check on that for me before I go ahead, because I might not be answering. But Walter Russell taught that everything in the universe is incandescent spheres and cold cubes. And those are the two shapes of creation. So cold cubes is where those incandescent spheres radiate from to make those cubes out in space, invisible. So the cubes are invisible, the spheres are visible. So what you see when you see the Sun is the incandescent sphere. But projected out into space is a cube in which the Sun is doing his spiral heliocentric, helixes in the sky. It's not spiral, it's a helix. And that is all happening within a contained sphere, which is then gravitating toward the sphere. The cube is then gravitating toward the sphere. So you've got radiation from the sphere and you've got gravity from the cubes. And so that is the sphere of Saturn. Saturn is that structural, that cold structure that commences the gravity stage of the wave, because one wave, part of the sine wave for 80 degrees, 180 degrees, is the radiation part. That's from Aries to Libra and to Virgo. The top of the sine wave, the bottom of the sine wave from Libra to Pisces is the gravity part, where and so what's happening is you're going from summer to winter. Summer occurs in Leo and winter in Aquarius. It's opposite sign. So what you're seeing is everything is going from cold to hot as it breathes. Okay, breathing in, you're producing hot energy. Breathing out, now that's expanding into cold, and then it'll come back again. And you have to continue breathing to keep this balance between the two of cold and hot in your body. And gravity and radiation. That's the central point of all of that is in your lungs, where that's happening.
Okay, so to the person who asked the question, what's his name? Intrepid Labs. I hope that your question was answered there. Right, Santos, so what is going to be happening for next week and from now on with syncretism here at Astrology Radio?
Sorry?
What is going to be happening with syncretism, the future shows here at Astrology Radio?
Well, look, I'm gearing myself to be able to do some regular shows in the short to near future for sure. So at the moment, I'm only doing one-offs because they suit me. Depending on weather and stuff like that, I can, or my other schedule, I have to balance, being a good little hermit with all of this. So, but one-offs I can do, and I can do other days too if it suits, if this one's not so convenient. But I'm gearing up to do regular soonish for sure.
Okay,
rather than
would
later.
you like to set a day for the next one? It can be any day. I have no problem.
It'll be a Sunday, but I'll choose and let you know perhaps latest. I don't know, Wednesday.
Perfect.
I'll let you know Wednesday if I can do another one.
Very good. Just send me a message via Skype. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Lost for words as always. I want to say so much, but I just overwhelmed with awe to hear all these things and to listen again. Again, friends, the recordings are going to be available this week. I promise you that. I was saying, Santos, that as I told you that we have this virus, which have happened several times actually in the last year. It happens more frequent than people think. When you have a website that is not in a strong server, to have a very strong server, you have to pay lots of money. So proper radio stations, they must pay a lot of money to host their website in a very secure way. We are not like that, I'm afraid. I cannot afford it. So we have to be content to what we have. And but we are working on it, and for sure it's going to be there very soon. My husband, bless him, regardless that he's a meat eater, he's a good person and he's doing his best. He's doing his very best to fix this situation with some file at Astrology Radio, which are misplaced and are very erratic. So thank you, Santos. Thank you very much, sincerely from my heart. And thank you to everyone who just tuned in here tonight. So the last words are yours.
Look, just encourage people to continue being on the path, and acquire knowledge of astrology. My presentations would be the best place to start because it's all tropical, and tropical is the root of all astrology. All astrological forms are rooted in the tropical equinoxes and solstices. They all rooted there. And look at what you're eating, I guess. Change that and see what happens. See what apples do for you. See what carrots do for you. They've all got poisons in them too. Remember that. All food it has good things in it, but it has the opposite side. All eating is toxic, all of it. We shouldn't be doing this anyway as true light beings. It'll be breath one day. So, but experiment and be the alchemist, and you will notice your body will glow with the food change, and that will inspire you to keep going. And watch May I Be Frank, and see what they did with Frank with all of these smoothies and 42 days of colon cleansing, and he lost all this weight. He reckons, he couldn't even see his private parts. That's how fat he was, and he was so happy when after 3 or 4 weeks, that he could start seeing parts of his body that he couldn't, a long time ago. It's very sad. But when the 3 boys started with him, they went to his house and cleaned his fridge out, and in there was all kinds of old steaks and meat cuts and, butter and all sorts of... They just chucked everything out and started all over again. Frank didn't like it, and he was resisting at the start, kind of thing. You can see it, but it's a great inspirational movie because it shows you how you can be inspired. I don't expect that you take that model because he's still a meat eater. You bring it up the next notch, but you will be encouraged. So there you go.
What's the name?
Correct your
Sorry,
food
the
eating.
name again of documentary?
May I Be Frank. Let me be frank.
Okay, so let's search for that. I haven't seen it, so I'm very, very curious, and for sure I'm going to I'm going to search for it. Wonderful. Yes, let's get inspired, friends, because one of the greatest things we can do, Santos, is to transform ourselves, because that's the greatest inspiration for others. We can talk a lot. We can talk all we want, but if we don't do, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, and by the way, Frank has a blog too, so you can even join that and get more inspiration. I'll tell you, those guys, they're on fire. They are bringing a revolution of raw food around the world, just showing how effective it is. It really transforms bodies, souls, and spirits. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Santos, and lots of love to everyone. So, till next time, for the announcement of the next show with Santos, Syncretism, the Science of Light, please check our Facebook page at facebook.com/astrotheology, and of course Santos page, which is facebook.com/santos.bonacci. So good night, friends, or good morning, or good afternoon, till the next. Bye for now.